Signori a dunque fronte, alle radici fuori difficult. Perhaps afterwards we can discuss what
If you want to, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Laten we de band gewoon maar lopen. So, Nelly Miricioiu, welcome. It's a great pleasure and an honor to have you as our guest. You being so often in Holland.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
There is some special, almost I would call it, love relationship between you, Nelly Miricioiu, and Holland.
I think it is.
What's that kind of?
I have no idea. Call it incarnation.
Incarnation?
Maybe another time I was the country itself or something. I don't know. It's just a very pleasant feeling because, as I always said, being an immigrant from Romania, I never really felt I would belong to a nation. And even going back home, once I went back, and I didn't feel any love or any kind of interest to look at me as one of their daughters. So to me, Holland is probably the most special place, because London is my country, is true, in England, but I'm just a guest always. It is never ever the same kind of home like it is here.
And you feel home here?
I do.
And why is that? Why do you feel so comfortable? Apart from the
because
incarnation,
you're very accepting, and you're very generous and very flexible. You don't seem to pour hot water on top of a wound, and everything that I experimented here with Farah, it was understood and loved, and I think we all need that kind of love.
You have been named after one of the most famous singers in the world, Nelly Melba.
Yes.
A long time ago, one of the great bel canto singers.
Right.
Your mother, she desperately wanted you to become a singer.
She did. I don't know why, because herself started to do some singing after I was born. So when she was pregnant,
she loved Nelly Melba, apparently.
She was reading her biography at the time. And I think she fell in love with this life of this exceptional lady, and she was pregnant, and it was one of those inspirations where she was thinking, well, I want a daughter, I want her to be an opera singer.
And when did you discover that you had a voice?
I was 5.
5?
I was 5,
and
I was singing with an unusual voice. I remember because it was my mom who was having a concert, basically, and she lost her voice. And I remember saying, I can do it. No. I can sing her aria.
No.
And they put me on a chair because I was too small. Nobody could see me. And yes, I sang her arias and the entertainment of the evening.
You hadn't learned it?
No, I just picked it up. I still have the ability of learning very quickly things. I remember I debuted in Gilda. I learned the role 10 days. Let's not talk about Louisa Miller, which I sang in Amsterdam. And when they asked me to do it, I said, yes, I've done it. And I had only 10 days to come to the rehearsals. Never seen Louisa Miller in my life. But I did tell them that I know the part. And in 10 days, I was better prepared than most of my colleagues.
Wow.
So I do have a quick ability. I am a pianist because later on, Mum took me to a musical school and I had to play the piano. But I think it was more to do with being born with the gift.
Yeah.
And thank God I loved the gift, because, you know, there are some people that are burdened by a gift because it requires too much. But with me, the more demands they were made, the more I felt that I can progress, and I can make myself better, and I can get myself richer, and I can give to the people more of a dream, of something beautiful, of what they expected to have.
It's kind of predestination, you would call it?
Probably. A lot of people seem to have that. But it took me a while to find the balance between what was given and what my intellectual wanted to do. There were times, what I mean by that is because my mom always said, your voice is a gift from God, you have to work. It's not important that you have your voice.
It's a task.
It's just a task. So I wanted to better yourself in an intellectual way. So of course I was playing the piano, learning languages, and of course school was an obligativity in a very profound way, because it was always the question, if I don't turn musical or I don't find a future in the music, then I was supposed to be well prepared to take up any kind of university. So yes, it was tough. It was really very tough, because I didn't really have a childhood.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask. I mean, is there in you, Nelly Miricioiu, still this 5-year-old girl that loves to sing, with all the innocence and naivety?
It's a very intelligent question, because if you look around, lots of prodigies, they get lost, or they are very unhappy people. I never really reached that point where I could be unhappy, and I was pleased to have that gift, and I was always looking for that innocence. I remember.
But can you look for innocence?
Well,
innocence is a gift again. I mean, you can't create innocence.
It is a gift. It is a gift. It is a gift. But I'm very cautious when I look around. I'm very sensitive to nature. I'm very sensitive to animals and children. When I'm saying that, I'm sensitive to things that are natural, that are spontaneous, that are not manipulated. And it's been one of my hardest things in my life to not avoid, because I couldn't avoid the manipulation. I think we all actually trained by schools, by society, by parents, by grandparents, lots of demands, and it's very hard for us to keep a balance on that. So for me to find innocence, I was always looking at my instincts, but then looking at those natural babies and animals and whatever it was natural for me, or nature. I will even look at the flower, how it opens. I needed to know that continuity of opening up, and that I took it on music, of course. I am a fine, at least I try to be a fine analyzer. And then I started to read books and to go into Tibetan philosophy and Buddhists, and without being very pretentious about it. I don't intend to say, my gosh, I'm completely cultured on this. I just went to take what was needed for me to keep that purity and that innocence.
And that's even more striking, because you are from Romania. That means, at a certain moment, Ceausescu.
Right.
I mean, if there's any non-natural society, it was that kind of communist, very severe party. There was no innocence.
I
mean, how did you...
a very long time it took me. Even now, if I meet a Romanian, I'm shaken, because I still see them
shaken with fear.
With fear. I still see them as manipulators, because I was so spontaneous and innocent. I had a lot of tough moments where, for example, after I finished Concertgebouw and I was working in Brasov, I was not married, so I was a hunt for every single man who believed that I am easy and I should be at their feet. It was a male society in those days, and women were treated pretty humiliating in a way, and as an opera singer it was even more so, because
you had to serve somehow.
Well, there was a certain frivolity within the society, particularly in the operatic world. I don't know why. And I remember that one of the main reasons for me to get married in Romania was because I wanted to be protected by a man who was with me wherever I went. So I didn't have to fight all the time. I changed my behavior. I started to be more like a man, tell jokes like a man, be strong, be tough. And of course, when I came to the West, that worked against me, because people wanted they still do, an innocent, vulnerable girl, because in the West there is a different kind of market where men like to mold you artistically. Well, it wasn't much to mold. Not that I was perfect, not at all. But I did.
Don't try on Nelly Miricioiu.
Well, it was because somehow I mixed it up between manipulation in communism with manipulation in a musical way. And if I was on stage, and if a producer would say to me, you have to move so-and-so, and I will say, why? And then the producer will look at me and say, because I tell you so. And that will irritate me. And that will really start me. And yes, I made myself a tough name around me, and people didn't quite enjoy it to have somebody as strong as me.
With all the things that you tell me, it's even more unbelievable that you kept that innocence, that purity.
I found my husband.
That's the secret?
That's a secret. Because he
Love.
loved me.
So,
he
love.
loved me.
Yeah.
It's not just love. He loved me and forgave me.
Forgave you?
He forgave me when I was strong without reason, or I was aggressive without reason. And he was always lovingly helping me to come through, because he understood my wounds, and he understood the kind of artist I wanted to be. And my music, as a result, came more tender, more tender. But I'm not saying that I'm totally domesticized. I mean, you still, if you push a pedal, the wrong pedal, I still burst.
I won't try.
Right.
I promise you. But
Thank you.
Has music for you also been a shelter in that sense?
Yes.
As the place
you're
where...
absolutely right. You're very sensitive. It's been my healing in many ways. And I must say, because of my temperament, a lot of people thought that I'm very good for Verismo, which I probably am, but it's a particular Verismo. But then when I was casted to do the Verismo, I took on stage too much of my temperament, and that killed the beauty of the voice. So I started to get my tapes. I was very lucky to get some tapes from Romania, and all I wanted was to go back to that purity of the sound of that young girl. I don't want to lose it. And I'm hoping that, it's sort of, I'm getting older, but I feel that the sound, it's getting younger in many ways. Mainly because I just want to go to that natural voice which won 10 international competitions. So I was very advanced already from an early age, and I don't want to deny that in my life.
It's probably one of the most beautiful things that can happen when you are growing towards youth.
Yes, when you can understand, and I think that's what happens to the Buddhism. If you notice, they sort of remain young for eternity. It's also true that being a monk, without all these pressures of and all the news from CNN with politics and all the disasters that's happening around, it's a little bit easier to maintain your youth. It's harder for us when we are in the middle of the society, in the middle of hell.
Yeah, because you don't want to become a nun. You want to be
in
the middle of modern life.
To me, it's more passive, that kind of spirituality. But I am grateful that it exists, because then we can learn and try to do whatever we can within the society.
I suppose almost with all singers or musicians, the gifted ones, starting with that innocence, that purity, there is a moment that it becomes a profession, that it becomes a job, that it becomes work. Did you confront that moment, and how did you cope with that?
It is, as everything else, it's a balance. It is a balance to find between, because innocence is not easy to maintain.
No, exactly. You can lose it so easily.
You can use it. It's so easy. It's a little bit like meditation. And you take a guru, he trains you how to meditate. You come home, you start meditating, and then get out of the door and get annoyed by the dog and kick the dog. The meditation's gone to pot. So that's not the idea. That's not the purpose. And the idea, I remember also coming across with another Indian, and he said to me, no, active meditation is probably the best thing we can do. And meaning by that is that you are in touch with the moment itself. Do not let your thoughts to slip. See, I talk to you, the entire life, my life, it's concentrated on you. I don't wonder in my mind on what I'm going to do next or what is tomorrow. It doesn't exist tomorrow. He said, past is gone. Future, we have no idea. It's a future. The only existent thing that we can be in touch, it's this very moment. So if I go and wash dishes, I have to concentrate and be in touch with the shining off the plate, all the designs, and be completely absorbed by what I'm doing, not just doing routine like.
This is what I call verismo. And probably this is what will help you very much on stage.
It does. It does. It does. Because I used to collect a lot of anger and then go through that anger. And then I realized that if I live in the moment, anger doesn't exist.
Is it also a way of attacking fear, of getting rid of
Yes.
fear in singing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Did you know fear singing-wise?
Fear. I die every concert in my life.
Still?
And more so.
Why is
More
that?
so because I want more, because I see more, I realize more, I'm more in touch. And I don't want to live with expectation. I want to forgive myself on the spot, because it's not healthy to have that kind of expectation. But
audiences have by now great expectations.
Of course they do, but I have to disconnect myself from that. So, but the idea, the fear comes from the fact on which I'm saying, am I going to be pure up in my head and my soul in order to deliver what I want? That's the only fear I have. It's not as much vocally as I know that I can't get to the truth. I'll tell you something very interesting. I just come now from Barcelona. We did a gala concert of it's a 40-year anniversary of the Francisco Viñas competition. It was my very first competition that I went to and won the second prize. The first prize was not given. And of course, lots of memories came over and all that. And I remember they loved me. But they don't know me in Barcelona. I haven't ever been invited in Barcelona. Don't ask me why. And we had a concert. It was Rocky Blake, who was phenomenal. And he started the concert. I can't remember which aria he started, but I know it was with a lot of runs up and down and all that, and fantastically done. And then, of course, he finished with a tremendous top. And, of course, the public went wild. They know him as well. He's very well known. He sang a lot. I walk in, and it was the coolest reception I could possibly imagine. And, of course, at that point, what do? Lose your nerve?
Go away again.
So the thing is, I had to reach for my soul. It was my only source. But if I didn't have the practice for getting to that, because I remember in the past it used to put me off, my voice would become veiled, and there was nothing I could do to make myself pass through, So, yes, it is a way of facing the fear. Well, it turned out that they loved me after all.
Of course, they have to.
But it's very, very hard to overcome those moments.
You are here to sing Iris, Scagni. And as most of this bel canto repertoire, it's about tragic lives. And now, with all that you are talking to me about is to find peace of heart, whereas all this repertoire is about the opposite. Mm-hmm. Our people being very tragic human beings. Mm. What is there for you to find in all those sad, extremely sad stories? Are we tragic people, do you think?
I believe that a hungry man can create more spirituality than a man with a full stomach. Mm-hmm. So going from there, I believe that pain finds more gifts than happiness. Because when you get into happiness, or let's say self-content, you tend to narrow your channels and your possibilities of opening the doors to whatever it may be there. Because when we are in pain, as you know, we feel like it's never going to finish. And that pain really pushes you to extreme. Mm. And yes, some people can just close in, switch off. But then some people will just allow that as a learning experience and you come through. For me, all my background of pain, I use it for my tragic personalities, for my tragic characters.
Because that's how you build.
But the purity, I have to keep it because that's the only way I can become that person. Because as everybody knows in Holland, I don't use the same voice for all the operas that I'm doing. I am the person. As I am now, at the moment, I am Iris. I am so much in love with Iris. I must tell you, when I started to sing, I was in tears. The words, and I recommend, I hope this goes before the concert.
Yeah, it does, yes.
I recommend to everybody to read the words before they come to the concert.
Is that what you do as a singer when you?
Yes.
You start to build. You don't start with the music.
No, because it's very tempting. Mascagni, although obviously there is a bel canto inheritance, it's very, very small. Very much so. But when you go into his music, if you go just musically, you're very much tempted to do Santuzza. It's heavy, it's dramatic, but you have to remember that Iris is younger than Mimi, and she's Japanese. She's more, in some ways, more than the butterfly. So the temptation is to become a Manon Lescaut in the part. The public will see it. So if you just come to hear the music is very, very beautiful. But in this case, in this opera, the text is absolutely divine. I'll tell you one very short thing which always brings me to tears. When he kidnaps her and he starts, she doesn't know she's pure. She doesn't know what love is or sex. So this man is trying to excite her and tells her the most beautiful things, and you're so beautiful and so exciting. And she goes, "Are you telling me such lovely things? I never heard anybody telling me that. I remember my father saying that to me, but then he's blind and he cannot see me." That purity of the thing. And then later on, when he says, "I want to give you that, and I want to give you that, and I want to give you that," she says, "All I love is my garden and my flowers. Please leave me alone. Let me have my own flowers." Or before she dies, she looks up at the sky and she says, "What an enormous eye is looking at me." So she doesn't have any adult kind of at all. Not once you find in that text anything. I mean, she's passionate about sunshine, about the clouds, about the blue of the sky, but nothing that goes into anything that we call it human.
Beautiful. Well, that's something to really look forward to. Let me just one thing. You're talking about bel canto and verismo periods in the history of opera. Some, and of course, in these radio programs, we often talk about singing and bel canto. And up till now, I still do not understand what we mean by bel canto. Somehow,
you're right.
Is a bel canto singer?
Even colleagues that asking me what bel canto is.
But is there a difference between a bel canto singer and a normal bel canto soprano?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Bel canto, but it shouldn't be.
Okay.
That's the point. It shouldn't be, because I think bel canto should be always the basis for any opera singer.
Just beautifully singing. Is that what it means? Just that?
It's more than that. It's all to do with breathing. It's the way you place the words on vowels and consonants, and the way you prepare the sustained phrases, also the legato. Okay. Verdi has a lot of them. So does Wagner. We're not... Oh, I must tell you a joke. I think everybody will love this. Do you know what the difference between a love duet by Wagner is and a love duet by Verdi is?
No, of course not.
By the time the duet by Wagner is finished, Verdi already made a soprano pregnant. I loved it, just for a little intermission. But yes, going back to my singing, Verdi was very much in love with bel canto, and he wrote in a bel canto way. Puccini, little less, but then, if you want to sing Puccini and have a voice that lasts you for a long time, you have to know the rules of bel canto. Otherwise, the voice is going to get sluggish, and it starts sitting on the sound, and it becomes wobbly and old.
Because you push more into emotions?
That's right. And
you want to show more emotions, real emotions?
Only the bel canto can actually save it, because... give you an example of the rules of the bel canto, which I believe in them, is when you have a slow tempo, the first beat, instead of going and dropping to the extension of the first beat, you should really be able to go slowly on the phrase, but once you got to the bottom, bounce. And then you don't sink the voice. But that is the bel canto that teaches you.
Okay.
It's there. That's why if you look in the singers of the past, you will see that most of them came from bel canto repertoire. I mean, look at Gigli, the father of all tenors. He was able to sing the entire repertoire. It's true, he didn't have all the rich orchestras that we have nowadays, the sounds, and also he didn't have these huge opera houses. But people make a tremendous confusion on looking at what the sound can carry and the volume. Do you know that there are big voices that actually do not carry the sound in the right way because it's not placed on the flexibility of the breathing, which again goes back to the bel canto. And that's why we're experiencing a generation of singers who seem to live very short, 5 years, and then they seem to disappear.
Yeah.
Do you know, a singer of my age, it's very rare nowadays to have around. I mean, the last one that I could mention is Dame Joan Sutherland. She sang at 70 better than when she sang at 25. And that was by the admission of the newspapers. And she was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
That's all based on the rules of bel canto singing.
She did the bel canto and she was very careful with what she was doing and very disciplined. So was Alfredo Kraus, so was Bergonzi. Just look, it's an entire generation. We don't have them anymore.
I wish you a very long life and career. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My love to everybody. That's
marvelous. Thank you very much.
You were wonderful.
No,
you
were wonderful. It's like you say. I mean, don't spend 1 second of time spilled.
It's hard though. It's hard to.
I imagine.
Things happen.
Of course.